Hello everyone, welcome to Faces of Korea on KBS World Radio, our Monday program highlighting an interesting Korean figure. Today, we'll meet with Tae-hoon, an accomplished maker of classical guitars. Stay tuned, I'm Sue Park. Here's a small village on the outskirts of Gwangju in Gyeonggi Province. The day is cloudy. The KBS crew is here to meet the so-called master maker of classical guitars. We expected some kind of a studio, but we find an ordinary two-story Western-style home with a small, neatly arranged garden. This is his son, Hong-sik.
공장 때서부터 계속 저희 집하고 살림집하고 같이 있었거든요. 지금 이런 형태로요.
From the days when I ran a factory, we always lived next to our workplace as we do now. So from early childhood, I watched my father work more so than other family members.
저희가 일하시는 모습을 많이 보고 자랐어요. 다른 식구들에 비해서.
The son leads us to the second floor studio. We listen to hear if there is any noise coming from the workroom, but again, our expectations are dashed. Instead, we hear a melodious guitar sound from downstairs. A white-headed man with eyes closed is immersed in the sound of the guitar he's playing and the rain falling outside. He is the 66-year-old master classical guitar maker, Tae-hoon. Discovering guests, he puts down the guitar and massages his arm. Maybe guitar playing at his age is a little strenuous. Here is
작업 방법이 틀렸는지 어쩐지는 모르겠어요. 근데 다른 사람은 다 안 그런데 나만 그렇잖아요.
Maybe I'm working the wrong way. I don't know. But no one else has this problem. But me, my father worked much harder when he was my age, but he's fine and healthy.
이 작업을 많이 하셨는데 아버님도 멀쩡하시잖아요.
Received a shoulder ligament surgery just a few days ago. He worries that his physical changes came early compared with his father, who worked many more years before passing away. Has been making guitars for 43 years. He flings open the door to his workroom, and the smell of fragrant wood overwhelms us.
이제 기타 내 거로서는 제일 좋은 거로 치는데.
Honduras mahogany is the best for guitar timber. Our ancestors tried out different kinds of mahogany, and the Honduras type proved the safest and has since become popular.
기타 재료로서는 유명한 거예요.
The precious timber is dried for 10 to 20 years. In the drying room, smells the timbers one by one, a fragrance he's been used to since childhood. But he remembers that when he was a boy, his father's workroom was pretty shabby.
뭐 재료라고 할 것도 없어요. 사실 지금에 비해서는 그냥 이제 적당한 나무로 했을 거예요.
There wasn't much of an established guitar timber at the time. Father probably used just any kind of adequate wood in making guitars. He made a guitar for himself each year and then another if someone requested. I saw him making a guitar even before the Korean War broke out in 1950. After he took refuge and returned home after the war, he made a living out of it.
전에도 이제 그 만드시는 걸 내가 봤어요. 그리고 이제 피난 갔다 와서 6.25 피난 갔다 와서 그걸로 직업이 된 거죠.
Ohm's father is none other than the first Korean guitar maker, SangOk, who introduced guitar making skills to Koreans who knew how to play but not how to make the instrument.
아버님은 이제 젊어서부터 그 재주가 상당히 많았어요.
Father was a skillful man from early on. In the countryside in the old days, there were picture frames often seen at barber shops. He made those himself. He painted pictures of islands, the sea, and sailors in a ship. He also knit underwear and socks. And then, after the war, he began making guitars to sell them to U.S. soldiers stationed in Korea in the post-war era.
갔다 와서 그 후에 이제 미군들한테 팔려고 이 기타를 만들기 시작한 거예요.
Mr. SangOk doggedly made guitars, and that alone, from 1932 to 1997 when he passed away. His masterpiece is undoubtedly the Sungnaemun guitars. He made 3 guitars from wood he obtained during the 1960 remodeling of the Sungnaemun City Gate. Two famous guitarists took two of the three, and Son Tae-hung hangs on to the other one.
지금도 소리는 나는데 뭐 그렇게 연주할 정도는 아니에요.
It still sounds, but can't deliver a performance or anything. It's so old, it's broken. The low key is still alive, but it can't make higher pitches.
그래가지고 이제 고음이 좀 모자라죠.
His father used to say there's nothing's left in life without guitars, so his son was somewhat destined to a life with guitars. But Tae-hung in his young days was more into guitar music than the hammer sounds that go along with guitar making.
곡이라고 치는 것보다는 뭐 이제 장난하고 단음으로 무슨 뭐
I just played the easy children's songs in monotone and not necessarily full-scale music. Just before I started military service in 1963, I performed in a program called the KBS Sunday Concert, and I later heard the performance in the barracks. I don't call myself a guitarist, but an aficionado.
그냥 뭐 애호가정 같은 정도죠.
He is too modest. He was indeed a talented guitarist who made several TV appearances. But after finishing military duty and having grown older, he preferred the sound of shaving wood. He chose his father's work studio over guitar playing. Korea did not possess the expertise to make guitars until the 1960s. His father really was the only person in the country who knew the trade. He always stressed sincere and honest craftsmanship.
본인 그 작업하는 거 그 외에는 몰라요. 전혀 몰라요. 돌아가는 것도 모르고.
He knows nothing else but guitar making. He doesn't know and doesn't care about how the world goes around, and is just focused on his work dead on. He's least interested in household finances, if the family has enough coal or rice. He just works and works. But in work, he's meticulous. He even hated for people to bother him by passing by, especially his wife who wore long, fluttering skirts that got in his way. Korean women customarily wear the traditional attire hanbok in the days just after marriage.
펄럭펄럭 하잖아요. 그 펄럭펄럭 하면서 지나갔다고 야단 맞았다고.
The guitars he and his father made were not of the best material, but with the boom of acoustic guitars, demand rose, and the son opened a separate studio. His ear for music as a former guitarist also proved helpful.
그러니까 음을 알아야 되는 거라. 음을 알아야 말하자면 내가
We need to know the sound because as you make the guitars, you think of how you will create the sound. For instance, in making rice cakes, a balanced shape, not crooked,